In this quick reference guide, I'm going to provide you with a checklist of critical steps involved in creating a compelling landing page that will encourage users to take action on your website. So without further ado, let's jump in with step 1, which is to define your calls to action. Be clear about what you want people to do on your landing page. Do you want them to buy, sign up, contact you? What is it that you need from them? Limit yourself to 1 or 2 calls to action. And if you are going to have 2, make sure they complement rather than conflict with one another. For example, if your primary call to action is buy now, your secondary call to action should be something like sign up to our newsletter in order to capture the people who are not yet ready to buy. My second step is to understand your audience. You need to clearly understand who your user persona is so that you can tailor your message accordingly. You need to know what their goals are, their pain points, their questions, their objections to buying, all of these kinds of things. Also, you need to understand their tastes and attitudes to establish the right tone for your copy and design. Stage 3 is to outline your messaging. Make a list of the critical messaging that you want your page to communicate, and that should include the following. Your benefits. How does your product or service help people achieve their goals or overcome some pain point? For example, if you've got a fitness app, then the benefit of that would be it helps you live longer and remain more active. Then you've got to address your features. How do you deliver on the promises that you've made in your benefits? So for example, the features of your fitness app might be something like a calorie counter or a pedometer to enable you to meet those goals. You also need to consider and address your objections. What are the reasons somebody might not buy from you, and how do you plan to address those? For example, people might think your app is expensive. How are you going to deal with that? And then there's social proof. How can you reassure people your product or service is well loved by existing customers and that it is trustworthy? Once you've done that, the next stage is to start creating your content. Draft your copy as content chunks where each chunk explains a different feature or raises a benefit or addresses an objection. Each chunk is going to consist of a headline, some copy, and potentially an image. But keep those chunks only a few sentences long. They've got to be short and concise and to the point. You can always link to another page for more information if required. The next stage is to design your content flow. Consider the flow of your content and how you're going to draw your people's eyes to essential page elements. So you want to start a page with your strapline that summarizes your offering. And then you want to focus on your benefits before moving into your features. And then throughout, you're going to want to sprinkle in your addressing objections alongside normally each critical call to action. And include your calls to action multiple times down the page and associate social proof alongside those to give people confidence to act. Then finally, you need to consider your imagery and other stylistic elements and how you're going to use those to draw people's eye to specific pieces of content. For example, you might have a person looking at your primary call to action. Next, you have to elicit the right reaction in people. So you've got to add design styling to elicit whatever reaction you need from users. For example, introduce a lot of white space and natural imagery if you want to elicit a sense of calm and tranquility. You're also going to need to review your copy here and inject some personality into what you've written. What tone of voice do you want to communicate, and does your copy include that? Then finally, your final step is to launch, monitor and iterate. Launch your landing page and monitor it carefully. Use session recorders like Hotjar or Microsoft Clarity to watch how people behave on your site. And that will help you identify potential problems with the landing page. For example, users might be clicking on non-clickable screen elements or scrolling past critical pieces of content. And once you see those problems, you can fix them. And that is going to what is going to create the most compelling landing page, is that iteration and that improvement over time.